Welcome to today's episode of why you should sell your fancy vehicle if you're broke. Let's be real for a second. A lot of people think having a nice truck, a lifted diesel, or a brand new luxury car means they're winning in life. Really? I don't really think so. But if you're broke, drowning in payments, obviously, if you got a fancy vehicle, you got freaking payments, my fellas, right? And stressing every month that a fancy vehicle is actually holding you back. Because in reality, think about it. You'd be taking out a loan for, let's say, 30 grand. You take out 30 grand, get an interest for it, just for a freaking fancy vehicle, and when it gets you horrible mileage, it's costly in repairs, and you're like spending a crap load on repairs, and you don't know how to do the repairs yourself, and you're bringing it to a shop. But unless, for say, you know how to do the repairs. But the main point behind this is to be like, why are you putting money into a monthly payment vehicle when you can go on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, all these other places just to buy a nice cheap banger of a vehicle? Like, let's use a Honda Civic, for example. I found one on Facebook Marketplace for $1,200. I literally bought it for $1,200. Unknown clicks, there's a few little things wrong with it. Honestly, eBay is a perfect website to be buying vehicle parts on because lots of Honda Civic parts are on eBay, and these parts are mass produced, and there's lots of other vehicles out there of those. They're simple and straightforward. They are easy to be fixed, but the main point taken is like the older generation ones, the more simple ones, not all these like fancy electronics that are in the vehicle. So think about it. You sell your nice big fancy vehicle, pay off that debt, or just cash out, get that payment, and then freaking anybody, you buy a car, you say you get 25 grand after resale value and it pays off your debt. And let's just say, even though it's at 30 grand effort, but in reality, 25 grand, you buy a car for $1,200. And so you're pretty much left with $23,800. And all you need to do in repairs on this old little cheap Honda Civic, that's a 4-cylinder banger that gets you the best bang for your buck and cheap on freaking fuel. And it's freaking phenomenal. You're going to be still having 23 grand in your pocket with $800 aside, and you're spending around, let's say, fix it up to keep it going for days on end. You need to spend around 2 grand because on eBay, for my personal research, that's what I found is you need to spend around that much just to keep it up to maintenance. Just depends on wear and tear, like say a new clutch and whatnot. It's like around $200 in Canadian. CV axles, and some other stuff, you're going to be spending around, let's just say 2 grand, just roughly. But that's freaking cheap. But then you still got like this much money, like $23,800 that was in total, but now you're spending around 2 grand, now you're around that. So you're pretty much left with $21,800, let's just say. And then you could be taking that money, investing it into the stock market. You don't need to be day trading. You do not need to be day trading to make a living. If you want to do it the safest way possible without having to look at it 24/7, I'm also going to be creating another whole YouTube video on the best 10 dividend stocks to buy and just hold forever, because I got quite a few I've been buying and holding. I'm always going to be constantly buying and holding them, so I'll be making a video on that soon. So hey fellas, come along for the journey if you guys want to see that. So anyways, cars are one of the biggest money traps ever created. The moment you drive a new vehicle off the lot, it loses its value, which is absolutely true. Like say 10 grand, 5 grand, all depends on the vehicle and also where you buy from. It all up in the air of different scenarios. It doesn't build wealth, not one bit. It just looks cool while silently draining your bank account. Come on fellas, you gotta be thinking about that, Think about it. Most people are working their entire life just to pay off something that sits in their driveway 95% of the time, which is so true. That's why I'm like, why don't you just go buy a cheap Honda Civic, buy some tools, couple $100 there, even two. You're saving a lot more than paying monthly. And think about it, you're paying rent. If you are living rent to rent instead of owning, I get it, housing prices are freaking phenomenally crazy up high, but if you can figure out how to find a nice, cheap, decent home, there's always rundown homes you can go buy and fix up. You gotta put some time and effort in, but the best part about that is living debt free. You can never go wrong with that. But anyways, monthly payments, insurance, fuel, maintenance, tires, mods, especially if you're into trucks for say and diesels like me, those upgrades add up fast. You could be putting that same money into investments, a side hustle, flipping cars, real estate, or building a YouTube channel that actually pays you back, which is what I'm going to be doing with this YouTube channel as I continue to grow it. I am going to be reinvesting all this money either back into the channel or into stocks to help grow my financial freedom. And I hope this encourages you as well to grow your financial freedom and be like, wow, if he can do it, and seeing how much he can make monthly just by dividends, it will encourage you to do the same as well. And I can also make a whole nother video on that, but I just want to tell you guys, like, fellas, you guys gotta sell your fancy vehicle if you're broke. But you know what? Instead, you're paying interest to the bank just to impress people who probably don't even care. Come on, fellas, for sure. Selling your fancy vehicle doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're leveling mentally. Wealthy people don't buy liabilities first. They buy assets that pay for their lifestyle. They drive boring cars while their money works in the background. I mean, have you ever heard that story about a janitor that's like worth $1 million, and when he died, he donated all that money? But you know what? It comes to show he didn't care about money, but he invested. So like, for say, if you're broke but driving an 80 grand truck, you're living backwards. That truck should be bought for profit, not dead. Because like, if for say like me, I'm going to start an off-road recovery channel, I'm not going to go buy a brand new truck. I'm going to buy an old truck that needs to be fixed, done up, well maintained, and I know what kind of components are being put in towards it, and that is properly well done up, at least from my perspective, especially torque specs and so far, etc. But imagine this: you sell your fancy vehicle, buy a reliable beater, or invest the difference, That could be stocks, equipment for a business, tools, or even another cheap vehicle to flip. In a few years, that decision could put you so far ahead that you can buy whatever you want in cash. Real flex isn't the truck, it's financial freedom, which is absolutely so true, which should come to show you with how groceries have gone up, housing has gone up, rent has gone up, like all that little stuff. If you're not paying attention towards it, or you're just like, meh, then what are you doing in life? Come on now. Don't you want that freedom? Instead of living paycheck to paycheck, relying on a boss, next thing you know, he can just easily cut you. Like, fellas, you must know somebody or have somebody in your life that has just been cut from their job so freaking dang quick over the company wanting to save money. I mean, yes, from a business perspective, you want to save money, so you're going to cut employees, which is absolutely fine on their end, but not on good on your end. You need to build that background, build that wealth, even if it's sacrifices. You will thank me later for this. I promise you. So if you're broke and driving something fancy, don't see selling it as losing. See it as sacrificing short-term ego for long-term freedom, because the goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to be rich. Let's say you buy an old Honda Civic from the 2000 era. There's going to be no monthly payment. You're probably going to pay $1,000 to $2,000 for it. There's going to be a difference of cost to keep up with maintenance. You got to do the AC, which is cheap to bring to a shop if you don't want to do that yourself, which I honestly do recommend bringing it to a shop if you do not know how to refill your AC properly, because frick, better play it safe, Or the fuel cost is cheap, especially if you have a Costco membership card. It's the exclusive. Each time you go there and buy fuel, you're paying yourself money back slowly over time. Same with credit cards. Like, if you're using a credit card wisely and you say you have $1,000 monthly, you use $200 a month on fuel. And when the end of the month comes, you pay off your credit card. Then you're building up some money on the side there, with your credit card interest rate, credit score going up as you pay that off. If you guys enjoyed today's video and you guys want to know what it's like to see what some guys starting from scrap channel, trying to use this to reinvest, to get somewhere in life, to get somewhere farther, somewhere where you don't feel stuck or trapped in a 9 to 5, and you want to see that difference of a YouTube channel and stocks all working together, definitely subscribe and come along for the journey, especially if you enjoyed this video. And I hope it gives you a clarity check of like why you should sell your fancy vehicle and just buy a beater. Beaters are freaking phenomenal, and then you're not worrying about it getting scratched up or paint looking funky. All you got to care about is keeping up with maintenance and it getting you from point A to point B, and that's all you should really ever care about. Because dealerships nowadays, 80 grand to 120 grand, let's say, of trucks or cars is just freaking nutty,